So, I've made an important discovery with the Honda today. So, historically, it's had this issue where when you're cruising along above, let's say, 1500 RPM, and you're just off the throttle, if you push the throttle a little bit, nothing happens, push a little more, nothing happens, push a little more, nothing happens, and then it suddenly a whole lot of stuff happens, right? Like it doesn't recognize that you're actually giving it throttle even though you are. So it's getting air, but it decides not to give itself fuel. And so a symptom of that is this weirdness that I'm about to show you right now. See, if I give it a little bit of throttle, see, it doesn't recognize that I'm giving it throttle, and so it thinks there's just a huge vacuum leak. If I give it a little more, and then let off, there's idle, and then a little bit of throttle. And now see, it's decided to fix itself. So what I've discovered, because originally I was trying to film this, and so I'd start it up and it would do the surging thing like I just showed you, and then I would get my phone out and then I would hit the film thing, and then I would try to make it happen, and it would behave itself, because, you know, if I give it the smallest amount of throttle and it does this kind of thing, then that means it's behaving itself and it's going to drive smoothly. And so it seemed like it was just being afraid of the camera, because it always fixed itself. The thing that fixed it was pulling out the camera. And so I thought, well, that's stupid, because the car doesn't know what the camera's doing. So it turns out that letting the car idle for some period of time, totally immaterial of temperature or anything else, just let it idle for 5 seconds or something like that, and it like calibrates itself or something. On the other hand, I've also noticed that if you start the car at like half throttle, which is a retarded thing to do, but if you start it like that, then it'll calibrate itself in a really radically stupid manner that's flat out violent. So don't do that. But yeah, this is really a big deal, because I mean, the abrupt switch between on and off throttle was so crazy that well, I guess you can't see it, but it broke the glove box, like the car flailing back and forth, because you'd try to get on the throttle, and then you'd get power, and then no power, no power, and then you'd just surge back and forth really violently, like 4 times in a second. And it's more violent even than like turning the key on and off. Nothing you can do can make the car surge back and forth as violently as when it's doing this issue. And that actually shattered the plastic of the latch of the glove box, and is now held in place by a spring, just because of the violence of it. So that's a really big deal that I fixed that, because that was like the #1 thing making me want to throw this thing off of a cliff, which is saying a lot given how much other stupid shit this car does. So yeah, in case anybody's having the same problem with their CRX, just let the stupid thing idle for 5 or 10 seconds before you take off. I always used to just start it up and roll, you know, just immediately. I'd even sometimes have it in gear, and then just as soon as the engine caught, you know, slip the clutch and go. But the car doesn't like that. It needs time to calibrate or something like that. Obviously, it's still high idles. I mean, it's not cold. It's just the unbelievably ubiquitous Honda Civic high idle issue.